Hi guys, welcome to my channel once again. This is Bar Talk with Ola. My name is Mujala Olua. Today I want to talk about a very important aspect of law that most people do not talk about, especially as regards property law in Nigeria. I'm going to be talking about partitioning. Partitioning. Most people do not talk about this means of determining family property, but it's a means that's provided for under the law, and it's very easy, and it's even more useful in some cases. Partitioning just simply means dividing the family property, giving each person their own portion over which they have absolute authority, absolute right, and absolute ownership. So, there are situations whereby maybe a mother or a father has died and has left properties to their children, and the children are fighting over the property. Sometimes it's an indivisible property, maybe a block of flats, and then you find out that maybe one child has moved into the property or has rented out a part of the property and is collecting rent. And so the other children are like, why are you the only one collecting rent? We also want to collect the rent. Or maybe they've divided out to collect the rent, and you find out that one party goes behind the other party's back to collect the rent that they're not supposed to collect. Sometimes even the tenants are confused. Who are we to pay our rent to? Who is our lawful and rightful landlord? So some of these things can pose a challenge to jointly owned property. A means of determining that dividing such co-owned property is by partitioning. Partitioning just means that all the parties that have an interest in the property, that is all parties that jointly own the property, come together and decide that they want to share the property based on their agreed terms and conditions. And once the property has been divided, each person has absolute ownership over their own part apportioned to them. So for partitioning, it's different from allotment. Allotment, it could be the family heir that's allotting a part or a portion of the land or the property to one of the family members. It doesn't confer absolute ownership. The allotted part can be taken back from the allottee. But for partitioning, it's absolute ownership conferred on the member of the family to whom a portion has been partitioned. Who is this means of determining property useful for? People who jointly own or co-own family property. Especially, it might not be family property too, but people who co-own a property, it could be land, it could be a house, maybe a block of flats, a block of shops, It might be anything jointly owned that they do not wish to sell. So instead of an outright sale and sharing the proceeds of the sale, they can decide to partition. Partitioning is done by executing a deed of partitioning. So each of the parties involved will reduce the agreed terms and conditions into writing, and then they sign the deed. And so that deed is the proof of absolute ownership over the property. Partitioning can be done by consent of all parties involved, or it can be done by an order of the court. Usually the court is reluctant to give an order of partitioning, but it can be done. So the parties can agree that, okay, you're collecting rent behind our back, or okay, I'm moving abroad, I don't want to own the property with you anymore. I want my own share of the property. And since you're not willing to sell the old land or the old block of flats or block of shops or block of stores or whatsoever jointly owned property, kindly let us partition so that I can do whatever I like with my own part of the property. So once a deed of partitioning has been executed, each party can do whatever they like with their own part of the property. They can sell it, they can lease it, they can rent it out, they can do whatsoever they like with the property. It's just as if they own a land that they've purchased by an outright sale. So that's what partitioning means. It's very easy, very simple. It's provided for by the law. It's a very legal and more certain way of determining family property, much more than allotment or some other means. It's a very easy and a very certain way of determining family property. And it's even better because a person who has gotten a part of the property by partitioning can even will it out in his own as part of his own inheritance. So partitioning is very useful for jointly owned properties. So if you're having a problem with property that you co-own with your siblings or some relatives, and nobody's consenting to an outright sale by which you can share the proceeds, you can partition all the way. So you can sell your own part. If you don't want to own it anymore, you can rent it out. You can gift it out in your will instead of fighting over the property in perpetuity. I hope this video has helped you. I will see you in my very next video. Toodles!